I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. I have no comments to be made. Roll call, let the record reflect that all board members are present and accounted for. Approval of agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion made by Director Holm and seconded by Director Gerard to regular board minutes, the October 13th policy meeting, the October 19th special meeting, and the October 13th finance meeting. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It was moved by Director Garretts and seconded by Director Holm to approve for the approval of September 28th regular board meeting, October 13th policy meeting, October 19th special meeting, and October 13th finance meeting. Is there any discussion?
There's really no good time to bring this up, so I'll just bring it up.
Okay.
Now, if you look at this agenda, everything already passed.
That's only in our
That's in your version.
version.
So does that mean we don't have to vote on any of it?
No, they have to vote on it. It's how it's set up on the new version. And it can certainly be denied. You can fill us in a little more, Susan, because I don't work in this.
So you guys like seeing the motions on there, so it doesn't come with the motions anymore, so they set up a template just for our board. So you guys could see that there was a motion 1, motion 2, and what's happening. But normally it wouldn't show anything. It would just show the suggestion, and then there wouldn't be anything saying behind it, that's saying it's passed or not. That all takes effect when I'm on the screen, and then you guys decide, and then that takes it into play.
So it has to say passed, is what you're telling us.
This has to, well, this, I can get it so it doesn't show it at all, so you'll never see the approval of the agenda. As amended, this motion made by, I can get it so it never says that, or otherwise they fill it in that way on this new program.
So it automatically fills in passed whenever
Yep.
you have a
And when
motion.
we have, oh, sorry, I didn't interrupt. When we have people present, I don't ever give them this version, I give them the blank version that has nothing, no motions on it. It just shows the discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I think you remember.
Yeah,
That's how they had it set up before, where everything was already passed on the agenda. So it seemed like everything was already passed, like it was pre-coordinated that we were going to pass everything on the agenda automatically. And the board at the time voted to not do that.
how does everybody else feel about it?
Well, I think Susan is just saying in this printed copy is the only spot that it shows that, right? Because when I actually didn't look at it, because I'm following along online and it doesn't show that it was already passed.
Just so all the board members know.
Yep.
Would it be that hard to take that off?
No, they set it up just so you guys, just so you know that you won't see the part that says, and this motion was made by board member 1 and was seconded by 2 and passed. That's the part that would be taken off if we don't put that on there.
And that's what you fill out during that time, isn't it, Susan?
Yeah, this is what I'm filling
To
out.
not
now.
have it.
It makes it hard on you to try and keep up with each thing, you know.
Yeah,
That's my fault.
I've gotten okay with it, just takes time and everybody has to wait for me. I'm okay with it, so.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you for indulging me. There's just no good time to bring that up. Right now.
I
so,
certainly see where you're coming from on that too.
Yeah, you don't want to set people up
So
mentally that you have to.
Everything's automatic, yeah.
all right, so it was moved by Director Garrett and seconded by Director Holm for the approval of the September 28th regular board meeting, October 13th policy meeting, October 19th special meeting, and October 13th finance meeting. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All who oppose? And all who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. Appreciation, recognition, and presentations.
I don't know if we have any, but I want to say this before we get into recognition for citizens and their input. And if someone, I hope you can hear me, David, because if you can hear me, everybody can. That if somebody wants to make a public comment, all they have to do is go on chat. There's a little box in this where it says chat, hit it, and type in that you would like to make a public comment, and then David will unmute you one at a time to let you do that.
Okay.
Bill, do you have any recognitions, or Joel?
The only recognition I have, just again to say thank you to Cole Hofstad for that outdoor classroom, and then Riley DeVrent for the Gaga Pit, which has become a big hit with the kids. So I think both of those examples are great community involvement kind of things, and really added to what we could offer the kids. I mean, they've just, what they built and where we've placed it and how everybody has reacted to it has just been really positive. So they put a lot of work. They did a lot of fundraising. Those were not cheap projects, but it wasn't something just to do for the sake of doing something. It actually served a really positive purpose, and the students and adults have all gained from it. So just really thank them. You know, we started planning on it on both those projects last spring, and everybody followed through. And I know different community service clubs have donated to the project, and there's a lot of free labor time put in, and a real credit to those kids as they earn their Eagle Scout badges. So it's just been a big winner on both sides. So I'm just very appreciative and thank those families and the community for the support. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you for the families that helped, and that was Cole Hofstad, and I didn't catch the other name.
Riley Durant.
Riley Durant, there we go. Thank you guys for your hard work, and there's a lot of things they could have did to earn their Eagle Scout, and they turned around and helped the school, so thank you. Did anybody else have any presentations?
No hands are up, so.
It's like shaking a magic 8-ball. See who has one. No. All right, moving on to recognition of citizens for input purposes. I think it's fair if we give a couple minutes for the technology to work here. If somebody's going to say something. Is that you?
Yeah, I just joined the meeting.
That a video?
Didn't sound like Super Mario.
By the way, this mic is really picking up everything very well.
Recognition of citizens for input purposes. All right, I've had enough time with that. Moving on. Reports and news. Board committee reports. Any board committee want to report? Business managers report.
Hello. So, I'll start off by saying everybody should have got a spreadsheet of me comparing fiscal year 1920 to fiscal year 2021 revenues and expenses. Kind of a chance to look that over. I just want to give a comparative report of where we were last year compared to this year in expenses to date. As of September 30th. September 30th, obviously, was the first 30 days of school being in session, not quite 30 days. Obviously, for expenses, salaries and benefits are obviously very comparable from last year. In percentage-wise, obviously, we went up. There's a 2% increase in revenue, but we did, everybody had the salary roll from year 1 to year 2. That's why you're seeing an increase in the budget. And so in everything, there's an increase in budget from salary from last year to this year, from 5.7 million to 6.059 million, and so on for benefits. So we are pretty much on track for 10.5 to 11% of total budgetary. If you look at the 10.97 and 10.54. We have expensed 10% of that. So we are on course from last year. This year, pretty static. Our services, I do want to point that out. It shows this year our purchase services are much higher than last year. That's because there's a few things. We had the football project. Now let's talk a little bit about Minnesota Power. I know that we're working on that, Pat and John's working on that, but I just want the board to also know about that we bought the poles, but they put that in for free. They did all the work on those poles and got them installed for free. And they've given us pretty good rebates on all our LEDs. So keep that in mind when you're making a decision about that 50 by 50 pad. They've been really good to us. I'd hate to not be nice back, because they have done a lot for us. But we did have that project. Our insurances are now being paid quarterly. Last year they were paid monthly. We've switched vendors, or switched our insurance vendor. And Speech Partners is a little higher. We're servicing more speech kiddos. And then we also had that playground project. So that's why you're seeing an increase in purchase services this year to date versus last year. Oh, there are my glasses. So everything is looking pretty static. I know we're showing 22%, but that's that big increase from the, for purchases services this time of year. Last year, obviously we didn't get started right away on any of those projects. And we had some big projects like the football field and the playground and our quarterlies. So that will even itself out. So when you look at the grand total expenses, you go to where it says 13.3% versus 12.98. We are pretty static from last year to this year in expenses. We are also getting more revenue from the state. So let's go to the revenues. Our revenues are pretty static. We did receive, let's look here. It shows we had 19% revenue or based on our budget from last year versus 16. And that's because of our local revenues are higher. So it's going to show a lower percentage of the total revenue received. And I'm counting that, we had an increase in, we didn't have an increase, but 1920, we levied 1819 for 1920. So we had some negative adjustments, 1819, 1920, and this year 1920 paid 2021. We recouped some of those negative. That's why you're seeing a higher revenue in the 0%. Those are our local revenues, and that's a lot of our property tax. What in the world? When you see the federal flow through, that 4% from last year, it was 147 to 284. We've gotten some, it's a flow through dollars. We've received some state dollars, and I think I've talked into the finance committee. We've received a stimulus from the governor. It's called ESSER, and it was $87,000, and that's to help with sanitary products. If we had to hire extra workers due to the shortage, anything that has to do with any increased expenses due to COVID. And we also received $78,000 called GEARS money, and that was our technology dollars. So we did buy some iPads, we bought some Chromebooks. Due to distance learning, we needed to make sure we had working devices on hand, and everybody had a device, so we did take advantage of that. We've also purchased hotspots, and now we are something about.
Yeah, we're hooking up Wi-Fi at both, and thank you very much, Jordy, out at Bolas, a Wi-Fi at the community center. They're using her Wi-Fi connection that was just made, and we're literally beaming across in for Wi-Fi so students can go into the community center and work. During this time, we have a number of groups of Bolas that they have absolutely no connection at all. There isn't Wi-Fi available at their place. We can give them a hotspot, but it won't work. And we will also be setting up, we're working with Morrill to set one up at their church there, because that's where we meet for meetings, and do a similar thing there if we can work out all the details. One is SkyTech, the one out in Bolas, which has come in and they're helping us out with it, and Benton County Co-op, is that right, is helping us out in Morrill, both of those, which is wonderful. And then our local one, which is Mid-Continent, is giving us some reduced rates in town for a few families that are free and reduced lunch, special hookups for them, and that's what that state money, that's some of the things we do with the state money also.
Yep. So you're gonna see our federal flow through the state. Obviously, there's a big difference from what I budgeted last year versus what I'm budgeting this year. Now, we've also, which isn't on this, but you'll see it next month, we also received $232,000 from the federal government that we had to expend by December 31st. So we have, for long term, we have done, I think I've said this before, and I know I said it to the finance committee, we have decided that we did an HVAC improvement. We have done rooftop unit 1. There's many rooftops that need to be replaced from 1970, but at $200,000 item, whatever you want to call it, HVAC, we can only do, I mean, we're just lucky enough to get this money to be able to improve air quality and get airflow, and it'll happen about 2/3 of the building will be different airflow. This is new, so we didn't have to worry about this part, but we are replacing that.
Go ahead. Don, didn't you also say changing that, also add more air conditioning to a portion of the school too?
Yep, there'll be almost 3/4 of the building will be air conditioned, and that will improve the air quality in the building itself. It goes in and out. So that was the main thing I think that happened with this money. It was well, I got 180,000 approved to do this. It was a little more than that, so some of the LTFM dollars will go towards that, but I only had a time frame of like 7 days to get this approved from the state, and I didn't have any. We have to go by bids. We still have to follow the state bid law. So Tony and I had to kind of guess on what it would cost. And we did underestimate a little bit, but we also received some money from the county, and we might ask for more money. So 10,000 of that project, we're also going to use those dollars with, and then some food service. We're really down on food service. We need to get some money into that fund. But of that 232,000 that I'm gonna have on this report next month, it was that HVAC system. We have $29,000 of iPads that the feds paid for, and then $22,000 of transportation, and I'm not quite sure what that is. John knows more about it than I do.
Yeah, it fits with our system, to control, tell us where the bus routes are, and it's a little faster doing it by hand, a lot faster doing it by hand. But, if you remember my first year here, we had supposedly a lost child, and right away, there are, programs where when the kid boards, they run a fob-like, system, and when they, disembark, they run a fob. Right now, they use cattle tags. I think, Kayleen has shown you that for the younger children. But that will also help with, that is part of this, but it'll also tell the bus driver where to drive. So if we ever find subs, I know there's at least one board member here that could possibly drive down the line, maybe two. I figure if you drive a helicopter, you should be able to drive a bus. Just a thought. Anyway, hopefully we can find some sub bus drivers, but this would be a way that bus driver sub can come in, he can look at the computer screen and tell him where to go, and also tell them where to stop and pick up kids or drop kids off based on who's on, and it keeps a complete track for us so we know exactly where kids get on and where they get off.
Right, when we decided on this 200, we didn't know until the third week of September we were getting this. We had until October 1st to get things approved and get the, well, maybe the second week of September, and to get all the applications. So it was hurry up and wait. So we thought HVAC, obviously that's the biggest bang for your buck, and we have 2 more units at some point we'd like to replace, but at $200 and some odd thousand a unit, this is basically is a no-brainer to have this done.
Go ahead, Mark.
The playground, what did we, I guess I haven't been over there to see the project.
We basically did some concrete work, moved where that, there was
Basketball court.
the basketball court, we took that out and moved it to the front. And then we put some type of crushed rock through that whole playground area. So I
Did
think
that solve the drainage problem?
it has helped a lot. There has been some drainage issues, but Tony Duval and Tony Christosic are on top of that, and we got such a great deal on it that we did find 1 or 2 like potholes, I guess, that they did fix. So it has pretty much done 85% of the problem we had. Moving that basketball court where those, that concrete has helped a lot. So, I mean, it's not like blacktopping it or, doing that. That would be a great fix, but we just don't have money in the budget for that. So it has helped a lot, and it was worth, I think it was worth the money to put into that. And even for visual, I mean, our community is very appreciative of getting that done. It looks aesthetically nice. It's got function, so I think it's helped a lot.
Dr. Holm.
On these dollars that we receive from the county or the government, like you said, there's some from the federal government, then some from ESSER, and then the county. Is that money that every school is receiving, whether you're in school or not?
Every school district is receiving a percentage based on the ESSER and here. It's based on your Title I numbers. So we got probably a smaller amount than other schools. We don't have a lot of free and reduced, and that's what your title dollars are based off of. But we did get enough to be able to pay for sanitizers and new units. And if Tony had to bring another custodian on, we're paying for that para that we've discussed already. So some of the extras we can't supplant, so we can't already have it in our budget and just pay for it out of those. We have to, it's got to be something we're going to create and have a need for. So yeah, every public school district and some charters based on the governor's executive order.
Go ahead.
So when we get money from the county or the federal government, can that be just for future school needs or anything we want?
Not anything, no. It's very, very strict criteria on what we can use it for. We got very strict guidelines on what we can use the ESSER funds for, what we can use the gears, like gears for technology. We just can't buy iPads to buy iPads. There's got to be it can't be something I've already budgeted because I can't supplant. It's got to be a new need. And the other thing with that is this is reimbursement, so we have to expense it first before we get the money back. That's how title works. That's how these, excuse me, are working. So by December 1st, I'm gonna do probably a pretty good draw and ask the state for those flow through dollars. So yeah, you have to expense it first before you can get reimbursed.
Go ahead, Russ.
How long does something like that take to get repaid back from the state? Is it?
Within 7 to 10 days, we have our money.
Wow.
Yeah, well, if I have it asked for by Wednesday, I'll get it by the next Wednesday.
Wow.
So 7 to 10 days, depending on when you ask for reimbursement. So it's a rather quick turnaround.
And the COVID money from the county, and so you know, I applied for money out of Benton County also. It wouldn't make sense out of Stearns, we just don't have that many attending there. But that money there will be kept us to check if we haven't received it yet. We should
We
give
did
it next
receive
2
it in
weeks.
July.
But all that money has to be spent.
By December 31st. The 232,000 that we just got told about at the second week of September has to be expensed by December 31st or we lose it.
And that's federal dollars.
Then that's
So
why the
why-
HVAC project made sense, because it's a big chunk of money and it's got a long life. It just, I mean, there are districts down in the cities got millions, and I just don't know what they're, God forbid, I don't know what they're gonna use millions on, but good for them. So yeah, we have to have that expensed by December 31st, and if I don't have 75% of it expensed by November 13th, they will contact me and ask me if I have intention of needing all of it. Otherwise, it goes back to the feds, and we will use it all.
All right.
So this money, I just want to say, is just this year. We're not going to get any more next year. So this year, I will say financially, we look okay. Even though we're down 20-some children, 22 children net. It's the next 2 years, next year and the year after, if we don't recoup our student population, that's when that's when it's gonna get real. So, I mean, we gotta be progressive, we gotta be forward thinking, you know, we gotta make sure that we are in a forward motion. December, January, if our student counts are up, there might be some conversation. So I just want the board to be aware of that. So does all this make sense, or do I sound like I'm talking too much?
I'm just trying to figure out if we're gonna be back in school or not by the January, so.
Let me know when you find out.
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as I figure it out. Yeah.
Well, I will say
It's-
I was at a funeral today for Tony's grandpa who passed away at 102. And a lot of people from out of state, he has a family all over the United States, and most of the people on the East Coast, he has a lot of family in the Virginia, Connecticut area, and they're all distant from me. They're not going back until maybe next year or the middle after there. That's what I was told today. So I think we're fortunate that we even have a chance to be in person. I don't have anything else if you guys, except for obviously the action item about the signing of amounts, but that should be an action that we've already discussed.
Anything else?
And one more thing, you will see this every month. So the more you see it, the more it will make sense to you.
All right.
Oh,
Moving
one
on
more
to-
thing.
Okay, now moving on.
Sorry, and then I'll be done. I just wanted to say I was gonna put this, but without being out with the funeral today, I apologize, but I did do the enrollment count for September was 927 children, and that's total like butts and seats. That's not with the weighted factor. That's not in preschool because we don't get credit for that, obviously. So I just want, every month I will give you an update on what our student counts are. That's our actual numbers of kids in seats or logging in for attendance.
Remind me, what was last year? 10?
947, not 949, sorry.
Okay.
And that was actual.
Yeah, that was actual. So we're fluctuating, and you'll see that every month. You'll see fluctuation. We got 2 or 3 kids back, but we lost 3. So you're gonna see a lot of that. I'm done now, sorry.
All right,
We can move on.
superintendent's report.
Yeah, first I want to call on Ted Hansen, our community ed. He wants to make some announcements for you. and then it fits into another section. So if you can mute him, please, David, and go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, real quick, we had a generous donation that was made by Matt and Natalie Palanch of $4,394 to purchase uniforms for all of our grade 3 through 6 girls basketball. John's showing you those now. They're reversible, which is great. Shorts and tops, real uniforms. We got 72 reversible uniforms, should last us for quite a number of years, along with the just warm-up jerseys we have currently. So that was a really generous donation where they reached out to me about doing that. And I think that regardless of the current situation, we will, at least this year and in the future, get kids playing basketball again, and they'll be super excited about having those uniforms. So Don should have the letter with the donation for your approval, and we purchased those uniforms. Additionally, just really quick, I'll just tell you that we did, despite the COVID world here, manage to put together soccer, cross country, and flag football this fall. And we had 42 kids in grades kindergarten through 5 participating in soccer, which was just awesome. We had another 19 kids participating in Mr. Marshall's Friday cross country for 5th and 6th graders, which is the highest he's had, I think, ever. And then we had another 41 kids in flag football grades 2, 3 played together, and grades 4, 5 played together. So approximately 100 kids out and participating when the weather was nice this fall. Any questions about any of those things, especially the donation?
I had a question.
Go ahead, Mark.
Did the person that donated that money, is that a business or?
They do own Minnesota Signature Care, but they are also obviously parents of students within our district. I had one of their girls in my class last year, and Matt is a former pretty good basketball player who was one of our coaches for Community Ed last year too. So yes, like I said, Don should have the donation letter from them.
It should be attached. It's supposed to be.
It is.
I just want to give their company some recognition.
Yeah, Minnesota Signature Care.
I didn't catch that. Do you want to say it again, please?
Yeah, it's MN Signature Care.
Thank you. Okay, today was the first day of hybrid for us. For some of our families, this is brand new. For some of our teachers, it's brand new. For other ones, they've already become old hat, because as we moved into quarantine for some of our different students, most of that is protective wise and following the CDC and the Minnesota Department of Health, along with the Minnesota Department of Education. They've already been working in hybrid for many. It's kind of fun to walk around. I'll let both principals talk a little bit about that. But there's some rough edges, but it's fun to kind of walk around. And synchronous, you will hear us say the word synchronous sometimes, and that means for parents and everybody else, that means that it is going out to distance learners live. It's in sync with the people that are teaching class. And I was in several classes where the teacher would be asking the student that is online what's going on, and they can see what's going on in their computer. They use a program that we use. And I saw some of that at the elementary as well. I announced this to you, the board, last night, and let you know there's a COVID-19 testing for free at Bethel Lutheran Church in Little Falls. That goes on tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. It starts at 12 to 6. It'd be good to make an appointment. You can go to the Department of Health, Minnesota Department of Health, and look up, and they have places. Yeah, you don't have to have your ID, you don't have to have your insurance money, and they'll check you out. And that would help us an awful lot with contact tracing. Now, we do believe our numbers will pop up a little bit with that when that happens. With that in mind, our numbers did go up since Thursday of last week. It jumped up, I think it jumped up 7 here, and it actually went down in Baldwin. And that has to do with the zip code, so you know, and Bolus spreads way out. It goes basically Holding Ford, Upsala, Plumsburg, did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyway, it's all the way out there, so that's a huge area for that to cover. Altogether, we jumped up also, we just made it down to 68 last week, we're back up to 76.7. And we'll keep a constant eye on that, because if it starts to fly too high, we will have to change our learning system that we have in place for now. One thing that I know Tony's looking for, and he's listening on, if he has something to add, just, let David know that you want in on this, is one of the things that we have to really watch closely is if things are coming out of school and going home. When that starts to happen, then we do have to change over our plan. Because we want to keep anything in the school away from going out to everybody else, so everybody understands. I mentioned to you also about hiring a associate RN nurse. Her name is Marquette. Don and I interviewed her last week. It was very pleasant conversation with her. This is a person that we discovered as we talked, very much into healthcare. And she was working, I kiddingly said it was a good thing where if we would hire her, because she first worked with dementia. So that would help both Don and I, more me probably than anyone else. But also now she's working in a nursing home. And she, since she got her degree, her associate degree, she's also been in charge of the nursing home from time to time, depending on what's going on. So she has lots of experience with it. And we're excited to have her here. She comes in less versus our former RN from years past. That one would have made $35 an hour. This one, because of being public, would be just a little over 27, did you say? And the difference is our former nurse had full family plus HSA. In their family plan for insurance. This one will only have with the individual insurance. That's all she needed at that time. So there's quite a bit of savings there. Friday, our game will be at Boys Tech. Our field is so soggy underneath, it would take one game and it would just completely rip that apart. Last Friday, we played at 11 at Sauk Center. And Painesville this week, I don't even know who we're going to play, but we're going to move it to Boys Tech. That will go up, I think it's 7:30.
Where's that at?
In St. Cloud.
St. Cloud Tech.
Oh, St. Cloud Tech?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, St. Cloud Tech.
St. Cloud, yeah. I'm sorry, not Boys Tech. So that's all I have right now.
I have a question, John.
Go for it.
So with the COVID testing, is there anything, I guess I had the question brought to me, is there anything that benefits our district if we have positive cases within?
If we have positive cases within our school.
Yep, or the area.
What with contact tracing, what we're looking at is where is it coming from? So far, all of our cases have been brought into the home and then ended up here. And of course, we want to guard everybody, and that's why we send them home for a while, so that there isn't that cross in case there is, which has been very fortunate. That's as far as I know right now. Ted, if you want to, or not Ted, pardon me, Tony, if you want to interrupt me, feel free on that piece. So the advantages is
I understand.
out of our school.
Yeah, and I understand that part. I guess I should have made that more clear. Is there any financial benefit? Like, does the school get a kickback if you get a positive case, or?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
But the sooner we can put the stop on, and you understand this, but maybe the public doesn't, the sooner we get on top of it, the sooner things can be taken care of here, and that's my main concern.
Okay.
Because if we start, I know schools that have closed, they're the ones that usually have outbreaks in the school and they expand. That's why you close the school, unless surrounding area is so high. And this would give us a chance. I know some people are afraid to mention it, I know there's been some bullying actually going on, from some people. You're the reason our kid was quarantined and things like that. And I hope people need to understand that no one wants that, this disease at home and to have a number of kids quarantined. So that's all I have for you. Any other questions?
Don't look like it. Okay, moving on to the principal's report.
Why don't you go first, Phil? Sounds like some of our kids, they check in and then they go away from their computer for a while. Joel, do you have anything?
I'd like to thank Jeannie Omvig for leadership with homecoming week this week. It's a very non-traditional celebration this year, and the students have come up with some creative ways to do that. But Jeannie has been kind of taking this on her own, in addition to the other duties she has as a full-time teacher. Last night we had coronation, and it was live streamed, and Amanda Waletsky and Nathan Colbo were crowned our king and queen for homecoming. Today was our first day of hybrid. We had about 195 students in the building. We were supposed to have about 285 in the building on A through M days, and we have some kids that are on quarantine that should be coming back in the next few days, and I think there's still some families deciding whether they're going to do distance learning right now rather than the hybrid, and those decisions are being made. But we were at about 195 today, so we're looking to see throughout the week how those numbers sort themselves out. Otherwise, that is my report for now.
Okay. Phil, did you have anything?
Yes. Well, I just wanted to communicate to you how hard and committed all the staff are working to make all of this work, the in-person and the hybrid. There's just been great cooperation. I think you can just really feel good from preschool all the way up, how committed and hardworking and good attitudes that people have. So that's been really good. I also wanted to thank the parents who have volunteered to transport their children. When we put a call out, we had just about 40 families who said they would not ride the bus and transport, and that made it possible for us to keep pre-K through grade 3 in person. And it's just such a much, much better model for those children. And the younger they are, the more they need to be in person. So we're all very grateful for that. And just thank you to the board for your support and working with, I think, really well on what's been a really difficult time. So I'm just trying to do everything I can to keep us in person. We started our childcare, and that's gone well. I think we're only going to have about 5 people in childcare registered so far. And you know, we got a lot more snow and it's colder, but we still have our teachers taking the kids out for recess. Don't hear very many complaints, and we're just gonna keep working at it and keep getting better as we go. So thanks for your support on it.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Discussion, information, and action items. Claims, accounts, and financials. Somebody want to move that?
I'll make a motion.
Somebody want to second it?
I'll second it.
It was moved by Director Holm and seconded by Director Garrett to approve accounts payable and receivables and employee reimbursements as attached, and approve all other financial reports as presented. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All who oppose? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. Approval of donations.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Does this have to be done by resolution, John?
Yes, I believe so.
Donations, yes.
Yes.
I have-
Do you have a copy of it?
Sorry, I thought you got one.
No, I didn't get one.
Why do you-
Who moved it?
I did.
I seconded.
Member Gerard introduced the following resolution and moved its adoption. Whereas Minnesota Signature Care has generously offered to donate $4,394 to the Royalton School District. Whereas the condition on this gift are for use in the community education program to be used to purchase new basketball uniforms for the 3rd through 6th grade girls program. Therefore, be it resolved by the Royalton School Board to gratefully accept this gift. The motion for the adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly seconded by Member Petron. And upon a roll call vote being taken thereon, the following voted for in favor of. Director Petron,
Aye.
Director Gerard,
Aye.
Director Hackett, aye. Director Holm,
Aye.
Director Garrett,
Aye.
Director Lang,
Aye.
and the following voted against. So in favor of was Petron, Gerard, Hackett, Holm, Garrett, and Lang. And the following voted against, nobody. And the following abstained, no one. The foregoing resolution passes 6-0-0 this day, 26th day of October, 2020. Here you go, Ellie. You get a signature. All right. Thank you for Minnesota Signature Care for the donation of the uniforms. I am sure those kids are gonna enjoy wearing them. Nice uniforms like that. That's always such a big deal with the numbers on it and everything, so that's cool. Okay, approval of resignations.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
It was moved by Director Petron and seconded by Director Gerard to approve the resignations of Jessica Suska, nurse, Angie Richards, paraprofessionals, Zach Silbernick, junior high boys basketball. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Oh, no, wait, we gotta go. Yeah, we can do that, right? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All who opposed? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. Approval of new hires.
I'll make a
There-
motion.
I'll
There.
second.
Royalton School Board will approve the following hires based on the findings of each individual's background check, licensure status, and discipline report from the Minnesota Department of Education. And we have Bethany Saminsky for junior high knowledgeable, Marquis Marquette for nurse. This motion is made by Director Gerard and seconded by Director Garrett. Any discussion?
Is there a contract for the nurse position? Since it's
Not a contract as much as a letter, what do you want to call
It's
it?
gonna be a notice of assignment.
Yeah.
It's a non-union position, just like the other non-union positions. So once she's on board, she will receive a notice of assignment.
Okay.
The only, because there is a non-union agreement, that agreement holds for all non-union positions. So they're applicable to a notice of assignment.
Didn't the last one have a contract?
Yeah. Yeah. That shouldn't have, yes, she did have a contract. We are doing it the way it's supposed to be happening.
Okay, what's the total on that one?
Just trying to figure it out. She's gone all day.
Yeah, I was at a
Or it's
funeral all
just
day, so
accepted.
sorry. Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
is there a reason we are not introduced to our new hires when they are brought on board anymore? I mean, it's kind of like it's assumed that we all know who these people are. However, I'm from Bolus, I don't know them all.
Well, just to answer part of that, Marquis works now, so that'd be very, very difficult to do that. And Bethany Szymanski, she is the para that we're using in the art classroom.
Okay.
Szymanski, pardon me, what did I say?
So she's already on board.
Yep.
But I just think it would be nice to meet some of these people. One, it's convenient for them, I don't, but I think as a board, it gives people the idea that they are welcome here and that we acknowledge that they are our new employees. Up to y'all.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know she was on the agenda. Otherwise I would have had it. Oops. Hold on. It's gonna be about 52,000 total with para and FICA. I'm like going crazy here. With our part of the FICA, Social Security, PERA, and health insurance.
Okay,
46 for 7 for 951. Yeah, it'll be about 52,000 with benefits.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, it was moved by Director Gerard and seconded by Director Garrett to approve for approval of new hires of Bethany Szymanski for junior high knowledgeable and Marquis Marquette for nurse. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All who oppose? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. Policy reading and approvals. First reading of policies, 505 and 903. Second reading was 208 and 534. Third reading of policies is 206, public participation in school board meetings, and 533.
We made no changes to any of those at our last meeting.
And John, can you explain to the board the accept the policies as being reviewed part of it?
Yeah, that would be another part in there. We have to review these policies every single year. And so it basically says, and I put these out for you at our last meeting and also online if you want to look at them, to run through them. That just says that you're aware of them, you're aware of what's going on with them, and we move them forward. They've been reviewed, so we put it on.
Okay.
If you want, we can hold off another month if you want, so you have more time to read it. That's up to you.
Well, personally, I would like it if we got to review them, if we could put the last review date on the agenda too,
Oh, okay. We'll do from now on.
because, I don't know, well, I do because I'm on policy, and I remember going through them, but, but then it can be like 3 years ago and you thought it was like 2 months ago too, so.
Yeah, some of these were just reviewed. It depends when we reviewed last year. I thought it was a good thing to put out there now. Get it off the table for the new board in January and clean slate to start, and then we can just, it depends when you want to review them. Some of them will come up for redoing over the next year too, in 2021. And I'm talking fall related.
All right,
I would also recommend, and I said this before, 453 and 451. Those are the two that really aren't policies. The return to work program, that's all put in to a federal law and state law. And it's just, we have to follow. And if you remember, that one had a whole lot of paperwork on it, more paperwork than anything else. So to me, that's something that's automatic, doesn't need to be a policy. And then school volunteers are the same thing. That should be in a brochure for volunteers coming in, not a policy. More information than anything else.
all right, well, I'm gonna chew away at these couple at a time here, so. Is there a motion to approve 206 and 533?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
It was moved by Director Holman, seconded by Director Lang to approve policy number 206 and 533. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All who oppose? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. All right. Motion to approve 413, 414, 415, 506, 514, 522, 524, and 616 and 806. Before we move it, let's make sure that we want to do that. Everybody okay with doing that?
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
What were the policies that Mr. Phelps suggested be?
Would be policy 453 and 451.
Okay, thank you.
If I read your mind, to drop, right?
Right, but where do we drop them to is my question.
Well, they're federal law now,
Right,
so
so
We just wouldn't have a policy on that.
just won't have a policy
do
because
we
they
have
have
it
to
in our
follow.
employee manual then? I mean, is it,
Yeah, it's part
somewhere?
of it's actually for human resources is the return to work program. And that's dictated by state law. And then school volunteers is state law also as far as background checks. So it's kind of duplicating effort to have those as part
Right.
of our policy.
yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So I just wanted to know where they would be placed.
Okay,
Thank you.
Good question.
all right. Does anybody object to just updating these policies? I'll read it here. Is there somebody who wants to move it to update them?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All right. So it was moved by Director Lang and seconded by Director Garretts to accept the policies as being reviewed of policy number 413, harassment and violence. Policy number 414, mandated reporting of child neglect or physical or sexual abuse. Policy number 415, mandated reporting of maltreatment of vulnerable adults. Policy number 506, student discipline. Policy number 514, bullying prohibition policy. Policy number 522, the student sex non-discrimination. Policy number 524, internet acceptable use and safety policy. Policy number 616, school district system accountability. And policy number 806, crisis management policy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All who oppose? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. I'll move to drop those two policies.
I'll second.
Was moved by Director Hackett and seconded by Director Holm to drop the policy number 453, return to work program, into the employee handbook, and policy number 451 for school volunteers there any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to thank the policy committee. This is a lot of work. Thank you, guys.
It is a lot of work, but so is finance, and I mean, that's why we break it up, so that,
I wouldn't trade.
yeah, okay.
And then,
I feel the
Mr.
same.
Chair-
I feel the same, so.
Mr. Chair, we were not great, Mr. Gerard and I, prior to being on the policy committee. So it is a lot of work.
Funny, I've been on there for a couple of years.
Look at you.
Must be something else.
I've been on this before and I wouldn't go back.
All right. Moving back to policy number 453 and 451. All in favor of dropping 453 and 451, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All who oppose? All who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. All right, this is,
Randy, could you review the second motion again? I missed that.
yeah, okay. Well, the one with all the policies, no, it passed. It passed. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, this is amended part of our agenda here. Approval to assign a fund balance. Let's get it moved for discussion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
It was moved by Director Gerard and seconded by Director Petron to approve us to assign a fund balance pot for prospective upcoming district needs. Is there any discussion? Dr. Petron, do you have some discussion?
Well, I would like to see, some of this money directed towards both the roof and the reading. Like the committee had kind of recommended, the finance committee recommended. I would like to go back to that. I wasn't here at the last meeting, and so I would like to see the motion read what she had directed.
I have to expound on that because the auditors needed more descriptive for the financials. So I did put maintenance, reading, and any upcoming district need, unforeseen district needs. So that's how I worded it because they needed it, otherwise we couldn't move forward. So I did put it for maintenance, for reading, and for any unforeseen upcoming district needs. So that's how it's gonna read on the financials. We don't,
And is there a dollar value assigned to it?
yeah, we agreed by consensus.
Yeah, it's the same dollar value we talked.
Yeah.
Can you remind me what that was?
6%.
6%. There we go.
Yeah, I know you guys wanted it more vague, and I tried to do that. I knew that they'd want to be more specific. I mean, but the unforeseen district needs does hit most of what you guys everything you're talking about. We just had to put a label on it. But it isn't assigned. Keep in mind, it's not committed, so.
So is like a trip to Hawaii for
No.
directors, is that a
That's not unforeseen.
Unforeseen.
Perspective.
I didn't see it coming until tonight, so.
Yeah, and I did put in, I did say that, in perspective, unforeseen upcoming needs the district may have. Plus I had to put reading and maintenance because they have.
So like if we had a pipe burst and we had a water problem, we could use it for
Yep.
that then?
Mhm.
And as far as reading, are you reading curriculum, reading just
I
that's
said,
kind of,
I just put reading. I didn't know how you wanted to, a reading program, whether that's curriculum, whether that's a teacher, whether that's, that's up, I guess that really needs to be defined, but it's in there for definition.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Earlier, I asked about when you get money from the government, you have to spend it on particularly what they told you to
That,
spend it on. right?
yes, because that's subsidized dollars.
How is that different from us taking money from everybody in this community and giving it to you and saying prospective upcoming district needs?
I wouldn't have had to do that, no. I could have just said maintenance and reading. I did that for your guys' benefit to have a decision-making part in this. It wasn't to be not transparent. It wasn't not to give you guys a choice, it was for your benefit as a board. I could have totally said nothing and just said reading and maintenance. But then that is what you are stuck to. This gives you guys, as a board, a little broader option. If something like that would happen, we have that assigned fund balance. It's not saying that we're not transparent and gonna just hide the dollars. It's saying it's assigned. If we run into problems, if we're down 40 kids, you know, we can bring some of that back as unassigned need operating costs. We don't know what it's gonna be in the next 3 years. So I mean, it was for your guys' benefit. It wasn't not to be transparent. Does that make sense? We could reword it.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about the non-transparent as I am about, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but, we've been taking that money for 5 years and just handing it over. I think we ought to put some strings on it, just like every other government entity. When they give you money for highways, they tell you how fast you can drive. Or when they give you money for anything, they tell you what it gets spent on. I think we ought to be a little more discriminating on what we do with this money rather than just the blanket respective future needs.
You know what, I can go back, it's all the financials are done. That's why I talked about this last Monday night, to have this approved by consensus, so we weren't here right now. Because this puts us in a precarious situation with the state if I have to go back and have this redone. We can go back and say maintenance and reading and be done with it. I mean, but this is why we talked about this last week. I mean, I do have a time frame.
But I think, so, I don't think Nola is saying that not to move it. I think you're just saying do we still have the liberty to be more specific on what we want to spend?
Yes, as a board, it has to be approved.
Yep, and I think that's what we almost feel like I think Nola's trying to say it's too broad. Can we say it's gotta go to this, and this?
I'd like to have 3rd grade readers read at 3rd grade level.
That probably should have been stated last Monday. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I can't go back now and say 3rd grade because it's the binders are already, that's why we talked about this last week.
And
But you are saying that reading is part of what you put in there, right?
Right, we talked about it last week.
And so we could put it towards a reading program to try to help get all the test scores up, because if they can't read the test, they're not gonna do very well on their test scores. That's the fastest way to get our test scores up is reading. And so.
And Noel, I totally agree with you that yes, we know where it needs to go for our district. But to just use the word reading gives us a huge amount of leeway to use that for programs for our specific needs. So, because we're in the business of education, not road repair. And so, you know, I can fix a pothole, but I can't really make sure that child is reading up to their ability without the right monies and programs and teachers to help that child get to that
Right,
point.
and I want to pour that money into that. Because
That's right, and that's what we have the ability to do, but you start getting too specific, and then they come along and say, well, no, we're not going to fund that. We're not going to do that as a state. And so you're better off leaving it a little broader, as Don is trying to say, I think.
Well, actually,
You know,
we're not
and-
even
and-
talking about the state. We're talking about money that we are levying and the optional levy. We want that money to go to getting kids to be able to read.
But
It's not state funded. This is local.
This is a local level.
Essentially, this is not levy. This is some levy. These were operational dollars that were over from, that we did not spend. Some of it was levy, some of it was aid. So let's be very clear in the path of these dollars. Yes, these are dollars we saved from operational savings and more revenue last year. It wasn't just levy, it wasn't just aid. I do agree, we owe the taxpayers something. I agree with that, Noel. But this is money that was over in our unassigned fund balance. We are assigning it to something. And we talked about reading program last week. I don't think it was stated that it was just 3rd grade, or I would have said 3rd grade, but I thought we talked about a I thought that was another
We talked
discussion.
about that at the finance
Okay.
committee meeting.
Okay, so,
Well, agree on this.
I'm gonna take the floor for a second.
I got something.
It's all right. So I'm just listening to both sides. I haven't made a decision, but I am pleading that maybe we should have a little bit of vagueness right now, not knowing what school. I mean, this building might sit empty for another year. So I don't know what that does to our kids, but you know, there's a chance this building sits for the most part empty for a year, and so this changes everything. Don, it's
it is.
a reality that
I
you
know.
at least have to entertain the thought of that may happen. So I don't know what happens when it does. I don't know what happens. To me, it's a little bit like throwing the kids off the Titanic because they should be able to swim longer than grandma, but whatever. So,
Oh, good
What an
analogy.
analogy, I know, I just.
did you have something?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason I'm kind of pushing for that earlier on reading is if you don't pour the money into them then, and you try and catch them up when they're in 5th grade or 8th grade, they're already way behind. If you can catch them early and they can read, there's a couple of good advantages. One, they can self-educate because they know how to read. Two, they can read a science test and score better on science, or a word problem in math and score better on that. And so reading is to my mind, reading is the key to the whole thing.
And I will say one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
This is the good thing, and I'll reassure you on this. If we use this assigned fund balance, this is in your guys' hands. You want to say 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, that's where it's gonna be. That is where you guys have
That's
the
when you do
power.
it.
Yes,
That's when they do it.
I can't spend an unassigned fund balance without the board's approval.
Okay.
And
So-
it's all in your guys' hands. Once I assign it, you guys know exactly what you're spending it on. If I say that roof up there with that water on, okay, we run into a huge issue, I'm gonna say, hey, this is why we have this fund balance. It's up to you guys. You guys have the power to say, this is what we should spend it on. So if Noel wants to, with that lower level, you guys have the power to say that. I've assigned it for you guys to have the power to say that. That's what it is.
See, that's why it's open, because, actually reading against when they walk in this building.
Yeah, I'm on
No,
board
I
with
mean-
it. I just wanted to make it clear
clarify.
to, some of you guys are gonna be dealing with this in, like March and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I just want you to know my rationale for what I'm saying.
And you know what, when we were talking about last week, Noel, in my mind, I knew it was lower level. So for me, shame on me, I assumed it, and I didn't say, yep, that's what they're thinking. So I'm glad that you bring that forward, because I guess that's where I would want to learn how to read, is in those lower levels. But
Dr. Hall, did you have something?
I was gonna kind of reiterate what Don said. I'm assuming once things come up, that would be brought to our attention before the dollars were spent.
That's right.
it's not
Mr.
in.
Chair,
Yes.
I just don't think we should kick it down the road, I don't know if that's what you were saying, but.
I'm not saying that. No,
Okay.
I'm just,
No.
I just don't
Oh,
know
yeah,
what.
you called it first.
To assign it real strictly right now,
No,
because
they
I don't
haven't said
know
it.
what the best dollar might be. Maybe the best dollar is, I don't know. I mean, we're making this stuff up as we go right now. It's just learning.
Right, I've already assigned it because we agreed by consensus.
So,
I mean, that's why
well,
I had you guys agree by consensus, because I needed to get it on Tuesday.
You guys all.
if nothing else here, I hope the administration is hearing from the board their feelings towards where this money should go. So,
Yeah, and actually, the biggest hurdle is assigning,
Mhm.
because once it's assigned, you guys will thank yourselves in the future that this money is off the table. It's already assigned to something, so.
That's true. That is true.
all right. Any other discussion? Other than I'm going to read it again. It was moved by Director Gerard and seconded by Director Petron to approve to assign a fund balance
6%.
of
sorry.
6%. I should say.
Do you want me to give you the dollar amount? Oh,
No, just give me the 6% towards, read that, pardon me.
Well, maybe it'd be best to do a dollar amount,
Do you have the dollar amount?
because the percent's gonna change over time.
470,000.
Towards,
Reading program, maintenance,
and
and perspective, any perspective upcoming need the district may encounter. But they're gonna go to the first two first. Do you have it? You read it, because I can't read it.
Approval to assign a fund balance of 6%, and then I put 470,000 towards reading, maintenance, and perspective, any perspective upcoming district needs. Is that what you wanted to say?
yeah, what she said. You okay with that? You okay with that? All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All who oppose? And all who abstain? Motion passes 6-0-0. All right. Is there a motion to close the meeting for the superintendent formative evaluation?
I'll make a motion to close it.
I'll second.
5 minutes.
With the 5-minute break.
All right, it's moved by Director Gerard and seconded by Director Garrett to close the meeting for superintendent formative evaluation as permitted by Minnesota State Statute 13D.05 subdivision 3A. The only business that will be done after the closed meeting will be to come out of closed meeting to close the meeting. Anybody got any discussion on that? Oh, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess between these.
Thank you. Oh, good.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All who oppose and all who abstain. Meeting closed. 5-minute recess.